to stronger than my fear. I have unshakable faith, unshakable faith, small as a mustard seed. My faith can move mountains, believe in possibilities, moves me beyond what I can see. I'm anchored in the solid rock of truth. I have unshakable faith, unshakable faith. My faith is stronger than my fear. I have unshakable faith, unshakable faith. I stand on what I know, and I lean on what I know, and I rest in what I know, that my life is in good hands. So I gotta tell you a story. Overnight, I awakened in the middle of the night, and I said, God, you're there. Right there for me. Right there, right there. Always there for me. Right there. I remember being a young woman, and one of my friends said, you need to work on your faith. So I've been working on my faith all these years, and God is right there. Stand on what I know, and I lean on what I know, and I rest in what I know, that my life is in your hands. And so God appeared as my friend overnight, and I know today's about surrender as action. And so I said, God, you want it all? God said, yes, I want it all. I said, but wait. And God said, I want, baby. I want it all. I got you. I want it all. I got you, baby. I got you. I stand on what I know, and I lean on what I know. I rest in what I know, you know what I mean? That my life is in good hands. I'm anchored in the solid rock of truth. I have unshakable faith. I want you to know these words come from the pen of Reverend Deborah Johnson, our sister friend in Santa Cruz. I wrote this CD for her, and I dedicated it to her. And I lean on what I know, and I rest in what I know. Yes, amen. That my life is in good hands. I'm anchored in the solid rock of truth. I have unshakable faith. Yeah, unshakable faith. I have unshakable faith. Unshakable. Can you say it with me? I have unshakable faith, unshakable faith. I have unshakable faith, unshakable faith. I have unshakable faith, yeah. Unshakable faith. I have unshakable faith, unshakable faith. And whatever that means to you, you know it's okay to have a little bit of faith, right? Bite-sized pieces. Thank you very much. Yes. How are you at home? How are you doing this morning? We are honored to have you here with us this morning. Good morning. Thank you so much. Good morning again. I'd like to welcome our music team here to join me. We had a request that came through from one of you, one of our beautiful members here, said, hey, I would love to hear this song. And so I want to invite you, if you have a song that you know perhaps is a part of our liturgy, and even if it's not a New Thought song, and you're saying, hey, this is on my heart, I'd love to hear it. Will you let me know in the chat? Would you let us know if you'd like to hear a song that means something to you? Let us know so that we can accommodate your heart request, okay? How are you, Chris? Good morning, Burnett.
Good morning.
Cool. Let's get this little guy together. We're good. This is from Reverend David All, Reverend Dr. David All. There you go. I'm grateful.
I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God,
of peace. Come on now.
I am grateful,
Yeah.
grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God, of peace. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God, of peace. I am grateful,
So grateful.
grateful for this day,
Yeah,
for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for
All the many ways.
all the many ways that the love of God, of peace, yes, the love of God is here.
And if you're not already standing in spirit or standing up straight with us, will you join us as we sing our opening song?
There is a space in my heart where I can find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here.
See with new eyes, allow it unfold. Embrace the road, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in our world with open hearts right now.
Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are
Welcome here.
breathe in and out. Slowly feel all that's around you. All that you feel, all that you know, let it go.
seated. Thank you.
Lighting the flames of faith. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all people in all faiths, all sentient beings, come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light a candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light a candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light a candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light a candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light a candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light a candle for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and the presence of spirit in their lives, and for the space that we are holding for them at this center, and for all religions unnamed in this ceremony.
Centers for spiritual living. Our mission is to provide spiritual tools for personal and global transformation. Our purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence, and our vision is a world that works for everyone. We are grateful for your presence this morning. And I invite you now to please join me as we say our call to service. The words are on the screen, and we can read this together. How I choose to think creates my personal experience. Therefore, I choose to think affirmatively. I choose to speak affirmatively. I choose to live affirmatively. Not only is this my right, it is my responsibility as a conscious being. I allow myself to be guided, used, and available for the reawakening of everyone's magnificence. The moment is now, and I say yes, and so it is.
The history of Hanukkah began over 2,000 years ago when the Syrian king Antiochus Epiphanes decreed that all people under his rule must adopt the Greek culture. Greek altars and idols were set up throughout the Greek land. The purpose for worshiping the Greek gods was made very clear. Antiochus declared that Judaism was to be abolished. He outlawed the observance of the Sabbath, of all Jewish festivals, and many of the Jewish rituals. Jews were told to convert or be put to death. Antiochus ordered his soldiers to seize the temple in Jerusalem. This very holy Jewish place of worship was then renamed for the Greek god Zeus. Pigs were sacrificed in the temple, and Greek statues and altars were erected. Thousands of Jews chose to die rather than commit idolatry by worshiping false gods. One day, Syrian soldiers ordered the Jews to sacrifice a pig to Zeus in order to show obedience to Greek rule. In the Bible, the pig was considered unclean, and Jews were not to eat of the flesh or even touch the carcass. This is when Mattathias, an elder Jewish priest, and his five sons turned on the Syrian troops. His son Judah became the chief military leader. He was called the Maccabee, which means the hammer, because of his great strength. Antiochus set out to destroy the Jewish people. Though greatly outnumbered, Judah Maccabee and his fighters miraculously defeated the enemy. Following several hard-fought victories, the Maccabees stormed the Temple Hill, drove out the Syrians, and tore down the idols. 3 years later, the second temple in Jerusalem was recaptured and cleansed. To celebrate the rededication of the temple, a golden candelabra was lit. However, only one small vial of oil could be found, and this was barely enough to last for even one night. Miraculously, the oil burned for 8 days, and this is why Hanukkah is celebrated for 8 days and also called the Festival of Lights. In my childhood in Savannah, Georgia, I looked forward to Hanukkah every year with great anticipation. I loved lighting the candles in the menorah. I loved singing the holiday songs. I loved playing the dreidel game, which was a spinning top. And if it landed on a certain Hebrew letter, that meant you could get more chocolate coins as a reward. And I enjoyed so much eating the delicious, yummy fried potato pancakes called potato latkes. And just so you know, for your information, Trader Joe's makes a prepackaged latkes. They're not as good as mine, but they're good. And the part I especially loved was every single night for 8 nights, I got to open one Hanukkah present. So, you know, that took me over the 8 days, and I had great joy in thinking about that. And my neighbors in the neighborhood always thought, wow, that's not fair. She gets to have a gift every night. What they didn't know is they got tons of gift in one day. So today is the 8th day of Hanukkah, and that is why there are 8 candles on the menorah here. There is one candle called the shamash, which is the leader candle. And since today is the 8th day, you always start with the candle that was put in last. So day 1, this candle was put in. Day 2, this candle, and on and on. So today, when I say the blessings for the menorah and the candles, I will start from the most recent candle. So let's see. You know what? I'm going to light this right after I say the blessings. So the blessings are Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam kiddushanu b'mitzvotav lahadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. And these 2 blessings give praise to the eternal God, sovereign of the universe. So lighting the candle from left to right and celebrating this new year of Hanukkah. And with these 8 candles lit, may the light shine within all of us, and may light illuminate all life. May everyone be blessed with freedom everywhere. Thank you.
Well, I don't know about you all, but I learned something new today. So thank you so much, Joy. That was a beautiful presentation. Hello. For those of you who don't know, my name is Rachel Cooper, and I'm a member of the Creative Arts team here. And on behalf of SLCA, I would like to welcome you all. And please know that whether it is your first time, you are watching online, or you are a member, SLCA is where you belong. And I'm excited to tell you about some opportunities to connect, grow, serve, and give at our center. And for more information about today's announcements and more, please take a moment to scan the QR code that can be found on the back of the seat front in front of you. We would like to thank each of you that faithfully give to SLCA. And to find out more ways to give, please visit our digital program or see the information on the screen, and we will do our grateful giving later in the service. Take a deeper dive into your spiritual life every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by joining our adult study group. This opportunity is offered both in person and online. Register now for our intention settings workshop with Reverend Dr. David Alexander on January the 3rd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Order your supplies, which will be your SLCA workbook and SLCA notebook, while supplies last, either after service today or by going online. And to register for each of these opportunities, please visit our website at slca.com or scan the QR code in the lobby or on the seat backs in front of you. Today is the last, please participate in the last Pet and People Food Drive of 2021. Because of your generosity, we have been able to serve so many families this year. And you can help make the holiday season a little brighter this year by donating diapers, non-perishable items, pet food at our community that are needed. We will be collecting all donations with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Atlanta from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern on December 12th, and please, no glass items. Please note that SLCA will not have an in-person service on December the 26th. However, we will have a very special service that you do not want to miss, and that morning it will be starting at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can view that on Facebook or on our YouTube channel. And now for my favorite announcement. I'm so excited that this is back. Please plan to join us on January 2nd for our annual White Stone and Burning Bowl ceremony. We will release 2021 and set our intentions for 2022. Is anybody else excited about that? And finally, practitioners are available this morning for prayer after service, both in person and online. If you wish to receive affirmative prayer, our online practitioner will provide their email address so that you can arrange a time. And for in-person treatment, our practitioners can be found after service on both sides of the sanctuary. Thank you for joining us this morning.
This is our time for affirmative prayer. So unless you're new and here for the first time, I know the rest of you know the protocol. You are to relax your bodies in your seat. See if you can have an open posture. Your palms can be up or down on your lap. If you choose to close your eyes, it helps to close out any outer distraction. And this is the time that we go inside and we commune with the one that connects all of us, the one that I call God. So we breathe softly and deeply, slowly, allowing ourselves to move into that natural rhythm of life as we give and receive the breath. I offer these words to you in first person. And if you choose to accept what is said, allow your mind and your heart to receive it. This is what I know. I know there is a divine energy, a force of nature that permeates everything and everyone. I know that this force, this power can never be destroyed. It can be transmuted, and it certainly can be used. And so I choose to remember that it's everywhere. So that means it's right where I am. It is me. The substance of my being is God's stuff. Divine substance, the essence of creation, is the truth of my divine being. And so I accept my identity as a spiritual being. And with that identity is the potential for me to represent the God that created me, the love, the joy, the strength, the health, the vitality, the harmony, the love, the unity. That is my true nature. And what is true for me is true for each and every other person. To the degree that you are aware and accept And so with that knowing, I can use my mind to speak into manifestation that which I desire. I desire for this service today to be uplifting, to be edifying, to be the all-sufficiency for our life that we need to get through one more day, one more week, one more month. In gratitude for all that has been given, for all that is forever flowing upon us, I willingly receive it all. With a grateful heart, I say thank you. Thank you, God. And I release this word knowing it's already been fulfilled. And so it is.
With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. As I open and allow, I know right here and now, I create a world where wonders never cease. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. Through me.
Take a little time to look around me. I better read between the lines in case I need it when I'm older. This mountain I must climb feels like the world upon my shoulders. Through the clouds I feel love shine. It keeps me warm as life gets colder. In my life, there's been heartache and pain. I don't know if I can face it again. I can't stop now. I've traveled too far to change this lonely life. I wanna know what love is. I want you to show me. I wanna feel what love is. I know you can show me. Take a little time to look around me. I've got nowhere else to hide. Looks like love has finally found me. In my life, been heartache and pain. Say, I don't know if I can face it again. I can't stop now. I've traveled too far to change this lonely life. I wanna know what love is. I want you to show me. I wanna feel what love is. I know you can show me. Let's talk about love. I wanna know what love is. The love that you feel inside. I know you can show me. I wanna feel. And I know you can show me. I wanna know.
Want you to show me.
Yes, I wanna feel it.
I wanna feel what love is.
The love that you feel inside.
I know you can show me.
Chris Adams and Burnett Sherman, thank you so much.
All right. Go ahead, music team. Let's give them some more love. Powerful. Wonderful, wonderful. Good morning. How y'all doing? It's good? Better? Better now with that music? Yeah. I learned something new this week, and maybe you did too if you're listening to NPR or local news, that they've asked us to be on the lookout for monarch butterflies here in Georgia. Did you hear this? That they don't know if it's related to climate change. That in the fall we're a little bit past the season already, but they make their great migration to Mexico. But they're saying that a large number of them appear to be staying in Georgia, and maybe even wintering in the trees. And they don't know yet if it's a good thing or not. It might be related to climate change, but they're trying to track it. So they're asking people to, if you see a monarch butterfly, to act. There's actually a website you can go and report. Like put in a GPS location and trying to get all that. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. But have you ever been? It reminded me. I heard that and I said, have you ever been to like a butterfly sanctuary and had the opportunity to see, or be around them and have them land on you, or maybe in the little case where they're coming out of their cocoon? Have you ever watched that process? And they're struggling and their wings are. And I don't know if. Like for me, the first time I've done it in St. Louis and a number of other places, but the first time I ever saw that, I was overwhelmed with this urge to want to help them. Right? You see it struggling and fighting, and you're just, if I could just, you just want, we're used to watching it on National Geographic or something that's time lapsed, right? And it just, just happens, in 30 seconds. But the process can actually take a while, and there's a bit of a struggle there, right? And of course, we can't help it along. We just gotta let it be. That relates somehow to today's message. We'll figure it out along the way. But the times are changing. The season is changing, light and dark. Thank you, Joy, for that beautiful recognition of Hanukkah. Beautiful. As the year comes to a close in this particular cycle, the solstice, the longest night of the year upon us, all of these metaphors and symbolism around us, there's some wonderful things to unpack and to explore. This opportunity to get still, to have those days of pause between the dwindling light and the lengthening of the day that is to follow. The context for today's topic, Surrender is Action, which we're looking at the journey of becoming. What do we, as we end this season of this year, what is the journey of becoming that we've been on? And how does that set up where we're going, right? So today, Journey of Becoming is the theme for the month, and today we're looking at surrender is action. Another way to say that would be to say surrender is a choice. Surrender is a choice. So we'll look at surrender and try to shift or heal maybe some old stories that we have about what we think surrender is and how we can actually embrace it as part of our journey of becoming. And a part of that is understanding that surrender is actually an active verb, right? It requires a conscious choice to move from one environment into another, from perhaps control into a relaxing of divine order of things. Surrender into imposing our will and to accepting what is. But accepting what is, I would say, not necessarily passive, which is what we're going to unpack today, that it's actually active and that there's something beautiful in the becoming of our spiritual selves that happens in that. In the Hanukkah story, right, the story that lasts, the miracle that lasts 8 days, the Jewish people do something in that story when they reclaim the temple to note that they only have enough oil for one day or one night. And there is something beautiful about the act of surrender in that story. Right? The focus is often on the miracle that the light lasted, but there's a critical action step that takes place before that I think makes the miracle possible, which is they accept that they have what it is that they have. And their surrender is not a surrender of defeat. It's not a giving up, right? They didn't say, well, there's only this much oil. It's going to take, by the way, it's going to take a week to make more. Right? That's why it lasts 8 days. It takes that long to purify the oil and make more. And so they could have said, well, it's not worth it. Let's just give up. Let's just use the unclean oil that they desecrated. Let's just use that because it's all we got. Right? They didn't say that. Surrender is not a defeat. It's not a throwing up your hands. It's actually a release. There's an embrace that happens in spiritual surrender of accepting the conditions as they are without the defeat or the acquisition of your faith. Let me say that again. Surrender is really about the acceptance of conditions as they are without the acquisition of your faith. You see, in other words, they lit the menorah anyway, or the candelabra, right? Which was had originally seven branches on it because it was about the tree of wisdom, the tree of life, right? So they lit it anyway, which was their act of faith. Why would you light it anyway if you know it's only going to last one night? See, there was a surrender to say, well, it may not be what we want it to be, but it is what it is. And we're going to embrace, or we're going to enact our faith anyway. You see that? You see how surrender is an action step that says, I'm not giving up on what my faith tells me to do, even though the world circumstances shows me that it's not enough. I'm going to do it anyway. Right? The kind of surrender, when we think of the word surrender, we kind of think it's like we're just throwing up our hands, right? Which they did not do, right? They said, we're going to do it anyway. It's also the second Sunday of Advent, which is, as I mentioned last week, this beautiful extended period in the Christian tradition for preparation, awaiting, anticipation, preparing for the light. And this is also a time of year where we play with this interesting binary concept of light versus dark. And I want to see if we can liberate ourselves from some of the ways in which that concept has maybe tainted our view of spiritual wholeness. I think we've actually done some damage a little bit, right? Because it's really tempting. It's the darkest time of year, welcoming the light, remembering the light in the dark times, right? The night does not last forever. Do what is yours and the light will last. And, there's so many motifs of light overcoming the dark that are so easy to play into. And Lord knows I've done, dozens of them over the years, and sermons for Advent and Hanukkah and everything. But there is something that I think we miss in that. And I've even put my own New Thought spin on it, right? Which is to say, well, there really is no dark, right? Light is all that there is, and dark is just the absence of light, and so just focus on the light. And while that's metaphysically true, or even scientifically true about the presence of light in the universe, there is a subtle thing that happens in leaning too much into this binary concept of light versus dark. Do you hear that? That it's versus the dark, as opposed to a wholeness of embracing the whole thing, right? It's not a competition. The dark is actually required, right? Because otherwise, why would you need to light the candle? The dark has to be there and has to play its role, right? But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, right? And so I've played with this in all kinds of different ways over the years, but in playing with this binary concept, you see it kind of forces us to make these unnatural choices, right? One must be good and the other must be bad, right? One is to be anticipated and the other must be endured, right? Or if not dreaded, right? Or overcome, right? Now, last week I said that it's okay if you have judgments, right? If you missed it, Merry Christmas. You can have your judgments, you can keep them, right? But one of the beautiful things to know about who we are as spiritual beings and the beauty of embracing our judgments is to understand that we are actually more than our judgments. We may have them, right? Because I think it's actually spiritual damage to take on the idea that to be spiritual is to be beyond all judgment. It's like, well, how you doing with that? Right? So let's just not even give ourselves that, that test, because I don't think it's a very fair test. The truth is we have judgments, right? You have opinions, you have judgments, you get to have them. But spiritual awareness is knowing that you are more than them, right? I am bigger than the judgments that I have, right? Well, that's a good affirmation, isn't it? I am bigger than the judgments I have. Amen? Right? You can say that. I am bigger than the judgments I have, right? And that got me to thinking that maybe we need to become bigger than the judgments that we have about the season, about good versus bad, light versus dark. Right? Because I've noticed this habitual pattern in human consciousness. There's a tendency, see if it's there in you as I say this, and that tendency is to jump to the good part of the story, right? To jump to the end, to quickly get over any part of the story that might make us uncomfortable or present something in us that doesn't feel good or whatever it might be, right? Uh-oh, it's dark. We better light a candle and sing a song about hope, right? But I actually wonder we could get to the ending, get to the good part, get to where it's all okay again, right? But I wonder, I just have been curious, I wonder if we're actually doing a greater disservice to our spiritual growth by doing this. I wonder at what cost are we sort of short-circuiting our spiritual growth and development. And that maybe, again, we need to surrender some of these old ideas, these that come from this binary concept. I wonder if we'll have the ability to fly if our wings haven't had the struggle of the dark period to grow and strengthen in the emergence process, right? I'll put it this way. My son, William, is struggling ever since daylight savings. He does not like that when it's time to get up for school in the morning that it's still dark out. Because he's gotten used to the idea that he wakes up and he looks out his window and there's light. And that's how he knows that it's the next day. But now the alarm, not the alarm, but actually he has a light that goes off in his room. I was trying to play with that idea that, look, there's light, but he knows that that's a fake light. But the light goes off and it's time to get up and he'll look out and say, but it's still dark out. It can't be a school day because it's dark out, right? And he's really struggling with this concept, right? How could it be time to get ready when it's dark out, And I have to remind him, right? Well, even though it's dark, it's still time to do what is ours to do, which is a concept he's really struggling with, right? And then during the day, the other day, we were taking a walk, and he gets upset that it's light out, and he will see houses that, and by the way, he loves Christmas lights. Loves Christmas lights. Right? So he wants to go and see all the houses that have all the Christmas lights. And the other day, he got a little upset that there was Christmas lights on this house that he had seen the night before, and he remembered it. It could have been a week or a month before. He's got a sharp memory. He doesn't forget anything. So he remembered this house, and the lights weren't on, and he wanted to see the lights on. He said, but the lights aren't on. I said, but it's daytime, baby. He says, yeah, but they're supposed to have the lights on. Yeah, but it's daytime, baby. Well, I want to see the lights. Well, you got to wait for the dark. Well, I don't want to wait for the dark. I want it to be dark now so I can see the lights. He says, you got to wait for the dark. And then we wait for the dark, and then it's dark the next morning. But why is it dark? So though he's 4 going on 5 this week, I don't think he's very different than most of us, right? This struggle with this idea of the dark and its role in our life. This struggle of not wanting it to be there when it's there, and this struggle that there are parts of our spiritual journey where we have to wait for the dark. And it's good to lean into that, and that it's an actually vital, necessary part that allows us to bring light to it, but not in a good-bad binary concept, right? You see, to me, in a theology of oneness like we have in New Thought, where God is all there is, we can't villainize or skip over the dark. Let me say that again. We can't villainize or skip over the dark or the parts that make us uncomfortable. It occurs to me that the lesson of the holy season is to be liberated from the white supremacy that has seized it and capitalized it and marketed it to us. Let me say that again. It occurs to me that the lesson of the holy season is that it must be liberated from the consciousness of white supremacy that has seized it and capitalized it for our good. What do I mean by that? That we have played into this binary to such a degree that we've made everything dark bad, right? I'm not the first person to say this. You remember Malcolm X talking about how we've gotten into this consciousness where suddenly it is the villainization of the dark, right? It's blackmail. It's right. It's I've got more on that in a minute. But now you might be saying, well, surely, come on, David. This relationship with the light and dark is ancient. It goes to the very roots of who we are as human beings, and it perhaps began innocently enough that some of us feared that this fear is instinctual and ancient, and it came from a time in consciousness where we weren't sure whether the sun would return from the storm or from the eclipse or from the darkest day of the year, right? But then as humanity, we were shown the beauty and the diversity of God's creation. But still our fear was gripped and even capitalized on, as Dr. Will Gaffney, who's a beautiful woman of color, Episcopal priest and theologian, she says it this way. She says, some lost sight or chose not to see the beauty of the diversity of creation, having lost sight of the memory of their own ancestral African roots, and when encountering suddenly a much larger world, saw that black beauty was valuable, profitable, and saleable. In the beginning, beginning in 1619, on this continent, those ancient fears were seized upon and weaponized to build a nation on the foundation of slavery and genocide, and the rhetoric of blackness became all that was wrong with the world. Just as Malik al-Shabazz, Malcolm X, taught us black ball, black sheep, black male, black-hearted, black people. But if we reclaim the story through a liberative lens, then we can free ourselves of this false distinction of light versus dark, this narrative that kind of plagues our consciousness in the background. You see, the oil lasted 8 days for the Jewish people to rebuild their temple. Rather than try to stretch the oil or impose their will, they surrender to the reality of the situation. They surrender to it in a way that allows them to step fully into, this is what my faith tells me to do. I'm going to do it anyway. There has to be, in order for that to occur, an embrace of the dark first. The dark is not to be overcome. It's to be embraced and included in what is so. Because they knew going into it, we don't have enough oil to last 8 days. We don't have enough oil to overcome until we make more oil. In the embrace of the conditions from the external world, it looks as if the darkness, it quote unquote, has already won. Because we don't have enough. We can see the way the battle is lining up, and we've only got this much. And so there's a surrender that is an action step, a surrender that is an active verb, that is an embrace of what is so. We're not here to fight the dark. We're simply here to be with it, to invite it in, and to do what is ours to do. You see, there's not a fear of a dark. There's a surrender to its presence in our lives. The surrender was an act of acceptance as well as an act of inclusion. Surrender as an act of acceptance as well as an act of inclusion. On the other side, on the Advent side of the story, around this time of year, most churches are talking about Mary and the choice that she made and the holiness of her presence. And I want to emphasize something about Mary that I think is very important right now. The choice that she had. That might slip right past some of you. The choice that Mary had. How about I put it this way? Mary had body agency. Am I getting closer? Mary says unto the angel, how shall this be, seeing that I have not been with a man? And the angel answered and said to her, the Holy Ghost shall come upon thee, the power of the, you know the story, right? And then at the end it says, Mary said, behold, the handmaid of the Lord, be it unto me according to thy word. That's an affirmation. And it's an affirmation of acceptance. It's an affirmation of surrender as an action. Not a surrender of giving up, not a surrender of defeat, not a surrender of it's not my choice, but it's a surrender that says I'm actively participating in this. Mary's body agency is right there in that scripture. And I think some of the religious conservatives that are hoping that the highest court in the land does something in these next particular days might do well to remember that Mary, who they're setting up in their front yards right now and on their altars in their houses, had body agency, had choice over what was happening. You see, it's displayed right there in her response. Mary says, behold, let it be unto me according to thy word. She chooses to embrace what is before her. As we surrender to what is so around us, it's not a giving up. It's a welcoming in. It's an act of inclusion. The dark is required because that's where creation happens. The dark is required because that's where creation happens. We see it in Genesis in the beginning, in the creation stories. It says there was night and there was day the first day. That's the pattern. There was night and then there was day the second day. There was night and there was day the third day. There was night and there was day the fourth day. The Hanukkah candles are lit. My sermon timer is almost up. There's smoke. It's time for me to wrap. But you light the candle at night because the beginning of the day is not the dawn, but the night, sundown. The pattern in Genesis is dark and then light the first day. Dark and then light the second day. The dark is required because the dark is where creation happens. Again, the words of my friend Dr. Will Gaffney, we are born of blackness. Starry night and fertile earth, our first human parents in science and in scripture, both have Africa's soil on their feet and in their skin. But somewhere along the way, we were taught to fear the dark, to fear the night, to fear the holy blackness that is the swaddling blanket of creation. And so, yes. And so the surrender is the embrace of what is, as the leaves teach us in this season as well, to surrender that which is so that the process of creation may begin again. On the external, it looks like the trees have died, they've lost all their leaves, and everything's quiet until the spring. But in fact, inside, internally and underground, everything is beginning again, and there's a whole myriad of activity that we can't see. But it's happening, and it's necessary. But the first part that happens is there must be a surrender to what is. This is the moment to let go, to get still, to turn within, and to listen to that which is trying to emerge in us. We are being asked in this season, as always, to slow down, to surrender, to accept, to embrace, so that something more might be born in us. What is it that is seeking to be born in you as you allow yourself to surrender, to let go, to feel the gravity of the earth, and to feel the emergence and the creative process begin again? You see. From the book, Reiki's Book of Hours, Love Poems to God, there is this. How surely gravity's law, strong as an ocean current, takes hold of even the strongest thing and pulls it toward the heart of the world. Each thing, each stone, blossom, child, is held in place. Only we, in our arrogance, push out beyond what we belong to for some empty freedom. If we surrendered to Earth's intelligence, we could rise up rooted like trees. Instead, we entangle ourselves in knots of our own making and struggle and loneliness and confusion. And so, like children, we must begin again to learn from things because they are in God's heart and have never left. This is what the things of the earth teach us, to fall, patiently trusting our heaviness. Even a bird has to do that before it can fly. Trusting our heaviness. Even a bird has to do that before it can fly. How surely gravity's law, strong as an ocean current, takes hold of everything, the strongest thing, and pulls it towards the heart of the world. Each thing, each stone, each blossom, each child is held in place. Only we in our arrogance push out beyond what we belong to for some empty freedom. If we surrendered to Earth's intelligence, we could rise up, rooted like trees. If we surrendered to Earth's intelligence, we could rise up, rooted like trees. Instead, we entangle ourselves in knots of our own making, struggle and lonely and confused. And so, like children, we must begin again to learn from the things because they are in God's heart and have never left. This is what the things teach us, to fall, patiently trusting the heaviness. Even a bird has to do that before it can fly. And so in this season, I invite us to move with the dance of the natural rhythm. Don't skip to the end where the light returns and all is well. Take it one breath at a time. Notice the ways in which Mother Nature demands upon us to trust the heaviness, to slow down, to welcome the dark in, so that the process of creation may begin again. We already know the end. We know the light will return. We know that it's all one thing. We know that it's not the dark versus the light. but let us not exclude the darkness from its proper place, its place of beauty, its place of creation, its place of enfolding us and holding sacred inside of it the key to our evolution, the key to our unfoldment, the key to our journey of becoming. We are being called towards the heart of the world to surrender and to start over again. I invite us to take a deep breath and just allow the words of this day and a new relationship with the idea of surrender to settle into your being. Invite yourself into the deeper knowing and curiosity. What does this mean for me, for my growth and unfoldment? What parts of this message land and trigger insight and revelation, curiosity and exploration, so that I might go deep into its meaning, enfolding, embracing it, and coming out the other side more fully divine, more fully human, more fully me as a result of having heard these words. I know that this activity is taking place for each one of us, and for all those within the sound of my voice, I'm truly grateful for this place, for this space, for the continued evolution and expansion of the ministry through Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta and through all of Centers for Spiritual Living. For this and more this day, I give thanks as I simply allow it to be. And so it is. Thank you. Peace and blessings.
I think he deserves another hand for that one. Reverend David not only talked about surrender, he is a perfect example of one who has surrendered. Otherwise, the wisdom that came through that message would not have gotten through. Oh, thank you. And now it is your time once again to participate in the giving process. At this time, we want to first of all acknowledge our first-time visitors. So if this is your first time at SLCA, we invite you to stand so we may welcome you. Any first-timers? We're all home folk today. So you can join me now by continuing to support the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. And if you are in need of prayer to help you through whatever, to just give you more of the goodness that you may be experiencing. There are practitioners present. They will be on both sides of the room, and you can come in those areas and you will be served. At this time, we enter into our grateful giving, and we want to upfront thank each of you for faithfully giving to this center. It is because of your contributions that we can continue to spread our message of oneness. If you were inspired by the message today, please consider becoming a recurring pledger or give what is in your heart today. You can give conveniently by texting your gift to the number that's on the screen, 404-800-9467. You may also give using a credit card, and the digital program with the QR code is on the back of the seat in front of you. And then the ushers will be walking through the room with baskets, and you can leave a check or cash donation. At this time, I invite you to join me in saying our grateful giving affirmation. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is.
So it is.
Thank you.
Thank you, Baji. Please welcome once again Chris Adams.
Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. Lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I heard for years. I learned to keep it inside. Now it's coming out loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. Lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine.
Yeah, Chris Adams. There you go. Thank you, Chris. Please welcome once again Burnett Sherman. I think we got your mic, Burnett, don't we? We're ready now. Will you please stand as we sing together our closing song? We wish you a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us. A world that works for everyone is a great and good world. Woo! We
Envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We see a world that works
go. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.